Hey guys, it's Tori, and I'm gonna show you guys what we did for week 3. Feeling kind of tired today. I think the novelty has worn off for the kids a little bit. So anyway, but we got through our day and we only forgot one thing, so it worked out pretty well. As usual, I'm just gonna start on the top of my list. So this is something I got from CC Connected. I don't know the username. But it's just been a helpful thing to help me plan. So math is at the top, and so we did 5s and 6s today. So I've been doing these post-it notes, so I just do like 2 different colors. So this is not the right thing for this week, but this was out of my tutor bag. So today though, I changed it up. So I've been doing the same thing, but a variation. And so, whereas last week it was kind of along the wall and they had to like touch it as they went by, today we put it on the floor and let them hop. So for the 5s, they hopped on 1 foot, and then the 6s, they did that, like they got on the floor and hopped like a bunny hop. And it's just really good because then they have to look and say each number. The other thing I did to speed it up was I had my room moms take another student. So I would start with one student, they'd be in a line, and you know, they would do their hops all the way through, and I would help them say it because the kids, the obesitarians in our class, are not reading numbers, they're not reading words so much, so they need help with that. They need us to say it. They can't really read it to be able to say it. They need to know it first. So for English, this is our 2nd week of prepositions, and again, we did quiet to loud. Had a little more trouble focusing today. I think just doing quiet to loud, that wasn't as fun for the kids, but they did repeat after me. So I would start off saying like 1 at a time and let them, like, so I say 1, then you say 1, then I'd say 2, you know, and then I'd say 3, and then I said them all, and then they said it all, and then we did quiet to loud. So we did quiet, medium, and loud. So that's just a good way for each subject. I try to introduce it first in one way, and then sort of like get deeper into the material and let them kind of try to remember it more as we go. For history, I wanted to have some little like clip art things to put on the wall. I like to have the kids walk around for history and then kind of point to the things or touch the things. Kind of similar with math, it's a good thing to get some motion in because history is good to have visuals with the history so that they could see, you know, this is Zeus Jupiter, this is Hera Juno, as we go around. So I did not have that. So what we did was we just got the shakers, and so we just kind of shook. That did not work so well. So sometimes you'll do things and it won't really work great, or it won't work great for your class or for your ages. So next week I'm gonna do more visuals. I'm planning to do more visuals for history. For Latin, I had this because I think Latin is really tricky, and you actually, you know, you invest the time to really learn this well, and then you actually, each one of the things is repeated a total of 4 times. So you do it a total of 4 times, and so I really like this off CC Connected. And so what I did was I printed a bunch of them on cardstock, and I cut out like here and here, and I gave each kid one to kind of work through, and then just let them build the puzzle and kind of explain the sounds. And then there's also a little trick because it's difficult to get your kid to say, okay, tell me singular, first declension, noun endings. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like if you give me the first one, I know the song. And so there's like a little trick at the top of these on CC Connected. So it's kind of how they do that. Or I think that's how they do that. We're tired today. Okay, so that was English grammar. Oh no, we're way down, we're at Latin. Okay, one more thing for English grammar as I'm looking at it. There's the CC official song for English grammar for prepositions. It's really fun and it's really fast, and so you kind of need to know it before you start it, but I am planning to start that song. So that's really fun and it helps them learn it pretty well. For timeline, we did hand motions. So what I do is I'll say it, have them repeat it while I put it down, and then I'll go through each of them so they just get exposure. Then I point and they repeat, you know, I say it and then they repeat. So that's already 4 times of repeating. Then I teach the hand motions, and we kind of do them a few times as we go. So Hinduism in India, and again, these are on CC Connected, the official, CC official hand motions with the descriptions. That's on CC Connected to help you with that. So Hinduism in India, and then Phoenicians and the alphabet, Olmecs of Mesoamerica, Israelite Exodus and Desert Wandering, Israelite Conquest and Judges, Greek Dark Ages, Israel's United Kingdom. The kids, they are 4 and 5. They are doing such a good job of being able to do those hand motions. I am so impressed with those kids. For geography, let me find my trivium. I may have sent it with my other kiddo. Oh, no, here it is. Okay. So for the trivium today, so first of all, what I had them do is there's a little box on here, and so I had them outline this box so that they could see that then this was the box, and then it's a little different here than it is there, so we had to talk about that. Things like that made today take forever, so some things went really slow and we ended up forgetting some things. So the ones for today for Hebrew Empire is Judah and Israel, and so I had them just do these circles. And so what I had them do is I had them draw H-I-J here, and we said in alphabetical order. This is I for Israel, J for Judah. So it's, if you go top to bottom, it's in alphabetical order. And then Phoenicia, we talked about, Phoenicia is all the way at the back. We kind of talked about the Phoenicians a little bit, and how for the sign for timeline is Phoenicians and their little boat. And so if you take your boat, you can sail it into the Mediterranean Sea all the way to the end, and you get to Phoenicia, which is right here on the edge, and you can talk about the Phoenicians at home. And then so for the other 3 things, we said the kids were not aware that gal was short for girl, or is another nickname for girl. So anyway, I just told them that, and they were like, So, but if you said a gal is a girl, then the Sea of Galilee is at the top. You have the Jordan River and then the Dead Sea. So we had to tell the gal, be careful, don't fall down the Jordan River into the Dead Sea. So that was how we learned that. And then for science, we actually forgot about science because we were running behind on time, and with the science experiments, we had to go outside to go do that. And so, you know, one group needed to be out there at a time in our schedule, and so we had to stop and kind of go do that and make sure we got that done in time for the next group. And so we came back and we did 2 of the subjects, and I just forgot that we hadn't done science. So we were just running behind today, and that happens, and things don't work sometimes, and that is totally fine, and it is totally okay, because we're just human, and our kids, our students are just human, and so are the parents. So anyway, but what my plan was, and I'm going to make sure that I send this out in my email, was to, it's what are some parts of an animal cell. And so my plan was just to draw an animal cell on the whiteboard. So I was going to draw it and have them watch, and then maybe let them draw it on cardstock, which is kind of a stretch for 4 and 5-year-olds, but I think some of the science things do lend themselves to being able to have them draw it. And so I wanted them to be able to do that. That's a fun experience, to draw that in and say, oh yeah, I remember what that was. Or like I did with the science experiment with the bean, where I typed out just the words on paper or cardstock and cut it out and let them glue on the labels. Once they drew it, then they are still able to participate. And so, so it's just pretty straightforward. You just draw your circle for your cell membrane, your nucleus in the middle, Golgi bodies is just this swirly thing. Mitochondria looks like a little sausage, and then your vacuole, and then cytoplasm is all the other space inside. So it's pretty straightforward. It's really not that hard to draw, especially if you have your oils. Moving on to science experiment. We had really good success with our desert animals. What we did, our campus used 2 bowls, so we wouldn't have to dig a hole in the ground outside at our campus. And so we had 2, big bowls that we put soil in. And then so one we buried and then put a white paper towel on top to replicate the brightness of the desert sand. And then the other one we just left on top of the soil. And it was a whole 12 degrees different when we went back and measured, so that was really fun. Meanwhile, we went and looked for our little pipe cleaner things, which that experiment kind of just has never worked for our campus. And I just say, oh, you guys are great predators. Y'all are able to find all the camouflage animals, because I think we don't cut up our pipe cleaners because we don't want to be leaving stuff out in the yard where we are. And so we just throw the whole thing out there, and then you know, the kids are just able to really easily find them all. So we kind of got to talk about that briefly. For fine arts, I don't think I brought it. I don't think I brought it home with me. But what we did was, I thought, so last week for mirror images, I drew a face because that's, you know, symmetrical this way. And then for today, we did, I thought, well, it would be fun to do a pond that reflects. So then you have your thing at the top and your thing at the bottom. And so the rule was, so I helped them, like I folded the paper in half long ways on the cardstock, and then I went and they got to choose a crayon, and I would draw their line down the middle on each of their paper, and then they hold it like this, long ways, and that was their horizon line, well, their reflection line, I guess, of the water. So if you drew like a beach at the top, you'd have to draw, you know, your land on the bottom. The perspective was a little off with that, but that's okay. So if you drew a flower, you had to draw a flower in the water. If you drew a duck, if you drew a sun or a tree. And so we just spent a little time doing that. And then we drew Leo the lion, which I think it's fun to do a drawing project where you do the same thing at the end of class every single week. And then, so they write week 1, week 2, week 3, or whatever. So I just walk them through, I draw it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper myself, and then the kids just kind of follow along as best they can. And I kind of just say, you know, if the kid is just overwhelmed with this, then they can just stop and do their own thing. And that's perfectly fine. Let's see what else. So review game. We hardly had time for review because we did go over on time with some other things. And so my plan was to give them some little domino blocks. I have these cool colored domino blocks, and just give them a few each time they answered something. And then, but we ended up, I have a little game of charades that's like geared for kids' ages. And so that's really fun. So they all got to go through that like one time and act something out and have the class guess it. And we would all say a piece of memory work first. Other notes, one thing I wanted to mention about presentation was that I have the same thing I have the phone on right now actually as I'm recording, is it's just this phone clip holder thing. And so that works great for presentation because a lot of moms aren't able to be in there. So I was able to take videos of each of their kids without having to hold it and not take my attention and have the kids kind of freak out. And so I did that and was able to get videos of each of the kids, and the parents were really excited about that. And one more note, just personally, I've had trouble setting up my speaker. And so I want to make sure that my speaker is set up with the Bluetooth before we start working, just to make sure that that's all goes smoothly. So I hope this helps you guys prepare your week or work with your children. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.